Hello and welcome to Unleashed. I'm your host, Will Bachman, and I'm excited to be here today with Tish Baldez, who is the co-founder of P31 Consulting and P31 Academy for Consulting Performance Excellence. Tish, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And I love the energy you come in with because I'm a person who's full of energy. So this is going to be a fun conversation.
We're going to bring it today. So, Tish, you explained to me that your firm has provided management consulting training to 20,000 professionals worldwide.
Yeah.
And I was curious to hear about that. Tell us a little bit about the type of training your firm provides.
Yeah, we actually are known for the management consulting training that we have done for small and mid-sized consultancies across the globe. And what happened, the origin of that is I was actually working with a couple of other consultants independently. We were just independent consultants working together. We had a client that kept putting us together. I came from the industry side of life sciences. And one day someone kind of said, "Hey, Tish, you have life science experience and consulting, and we've got this person over here who came from a big five. Could we put you together and have you start to teach our courses?" And that's actually how it started. We evolved from a client who saw a good fit across, and then we started just building out what we did. And then people started calling us and saying, "Hey, I went through the training there." And they started branching off like a lot of the people that you know, Will, who are kind of like, "Oh, I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to be an independent consultant, but now I'm going to build this little business that I have and now I need more training." Or they went to another company and they said, "We don't have good formal structured training on how to do problem solving, how to generate insights, how do we produce and communicate those to clients? Can you come over here and do over here what you did for us over there?" And from there, what we have, which is a 100% referral only business, just grew and grew and grew. And that's how it ended up becoming global. And that's how we ended up reaching so many people.
That's cool. So walk me through your different offerings, the different courses you offer, the different kind of options. I'm curious to hear about your portfolio of training options.
Yeah. One of the ones that we introduced about a year and a half ago that came as a result of clients asking us to build it. And these were smaller consultancies, not a lot of people, 100 people or less, who said, "We need something for us and we need something that's affordable." So we put together what we currently call the Foundations for Consulting Skills program. And what we do is it enables small businesses who are hiring in new analysts and new consultants and even engagement managers who have never had any formal structured training on how to do consulting or how to work in a consultative way. It gives them a place to send their team members to develop. So we created that and we rolled that out last year. And now we're currently running multiple sessions a year in the US and the UK. And we're planning to open this up to Latin America sometime later this year. And the idea there is give them the foundational skills, give them storyboarding, teach them how to synthesize data and communicate it in a way that's meaningful for clients. All of the things that probably you and I have just kind of taken for granted because we've developed those skills over the years, but how do they engage with others? How do they work with how can they work with the people that they are sitting next to every day? But also, how do you work with a client? What does it mean to interact with a client in a consultative way? And we emphasize a lot that way versus transactional, getting away from being known for your activity and your busy work and getting more known, even at an analyst and a consultant level, for knowing how to engage a client in a consultative way. So that's one of our biggest offerings right now that is really attractive for the smaller consultancies that just have nothing in place. Right now, you know what they're doing? They have the hero model, right? They're doing a lot of mentoring. The leaders of those organizations are doing a lot of coaching, and they're trying to also sell and build the business at the same time. And our offer is, let us relieve you of that a bit. We'll get them skilled up. We'll do it quickly. We'll accelerate their learning curve so that you don't have to wait 2 years before they're actually effective. And then we'll kind of hand them back to you. And then you kind of pull it through. You do the coaching and then you do the mentoring, but they have the right foundation and the right basis for that. So that's one of the big things that we've been doing through what we call our P31 Academy in the last couple of years. Another thing that we're known for, and probably I would say 30 to 40% of all the people we've trained on, We've trained on how to storyboard presentations in the very traditional consulting way. Because what we discovered is it depends on what consultancy you work for. Everybody has a version of it, but they all are very different. And so we teach the principles of how to do it, but we also teach why, not just theoretically, but practically it actually works, and why we design our slides the way we do. Because there's good reasons for designing them the way we do so that our audience can remember more. And we focus on that. And we have a special version of that program, especially for scientists, medical professionals, people who work inside of life sciences or in data science organizations who need to learn how to communicate that in a business way. So we try to help them become business fluent. So if you've got to talk about how to translate data science or medical science or research for a business audience, we have a special program for them. So, and we call them becoming business fluent so that they can be respected when they're presenting. They understand what they're presenting and why they're presenting it. And they're doing it in a way that's meaningful for their audience, right? I think a lot of really smart scientists and medical professionals believe when they're presenting that, I am presenting the data in a way that's effective. And it is quite effective for a science or medical audience. But what they don't know how is how to translate that into language that makes sense and actually sticks. They don't know how to make it sticky for the business audiences. So the audiences can walk away and say, okay, now I get it. And now I know what I need to pay attention to. I know what decisions I need to make. I know what actions I need to take based on that. And that's what we teach them how to get to. We train them how to get to that. So those are two of the big things that we do.
So the foundation for consulting skills.
Yes.
Is that what's the actual structure of that? Is that in person? Is it online only? Is it in person only? And like, how is it half a day? Is it a whole week? Like to walk me through what it looks like.
It's actually a 100-day experience.
Oh,
and
okay.
we design it to be that way because we're creating a partnership with small and mid-sized consultancies who don't have anything in place. So we basically, what we're offering them is we'll come in and become a part of your onboarding program. So when you're bringing them on, you're going to onboard them anyway. We're going to marry you. We're going to come in and be in this marriage relationship with you where we become part of that onboarding program. And as soon as they're hired or within a few months, you enter them into this 100-day experience. And it's a combination of online, self-directed, self-paced learning. And it also is a combination of in-person and virtual-led, facilitator-led by expert consultants. So we bring them together for a 3-day intensive, and we call it an intensive because they go heads down, they get hands-on coaching, they learn the foundational skills that are difficult to learn online. Because I think, Will, you can't learn everything online. I mean, it would be really difficult to learn how to ride a bike online. I can learn about it, but I can't learn how to do it. And so what we've done is we've broken the 100 days up into what is realistically possible for people to be able to learn on their own or virtually. And what are the pieces that they really need to be in person with a hands-on coach? So they're working independently for a few weeks. They come together for a 3-day intensive. And we do those in different locations in the UK and in the United States. And then they have all of the weeks beyond that, which are, I think, the first 3 weeks and a week together, and then about the last few weeks. What they're doing in that situation is they're doing a combination of small group exercises. They come together they actually each person in the program gets a one-on-one coaching session with a coach. So they come together for those. They get group coaching, which is actually, we found to be the most tremendous value because they get to hear great questions and get to receive great answers about actionable things they can do that will make a difference on their job. And that's what we focus on. We major in transformational business skill development. So while we address theory and why this should work, we focus on practical application so that they can see the needle move in what they're doing. So the 100-day experience ends on day 100 with a big celebration that they've completed all of this. And another unique thing that we do in our programs is we incorporate neuroscience. So everything we do is intentional about how to engage the brain and get those synapses going. so that the learning sticks and it becomes habitual. Because in our experience, a lot of training happens and there's a lot of smiley faces and people feel good when they leave. But within a few weeks or a few months, they're no longer using those new behaviors. So we've incorporated neuroscience throughout both the virtual portions and the in-person sessions. In fact, one of the fun things we do, because fun is one of our foundational principles, is in our in-person, we actually have them do brain exercises in class. And they're like, whoa, what are we doing here? We say, look, if we do this exercise, what you're about to learn is going to stick and it's going to stay with you longer. And it's amazing when they're done. They're like, how did you do that? It's like, it's not magic. It's just neuroscience. We understand the way your brains are working and we know how important this is for it to stick and not stick in your memory of I've learned about it, but it has to stick in your muscle memory. I've learned how to do it. And I will continue to develop this habit and build this habit. And so it's a lot of fun. It gets a lot of laughs because the exercises are really difficult to do. But they start off at the beginning with the inability to really be successful with these brain exercises where we're intentionally activating both the left and right side of the brain. And by the end of the 3 days, they say, let's go back and do that first one again. Let's try it again. I think I got it now. And it's amazing. They get it. But what they don't realize, what we have created is we created an atmosphere that is more conducive to learning for adults, and that it's sticky and it stays sticky and it's less likely to go away. And we do it in a fun way. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. So I want to make sure I understand the full 100-day experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts out and there's 3 weeks where they do some things that are asynchronous online at their own pace. There's and then there's a 3-day in-person intensive workshop. And then after that, there's at least one-on-one coaching.
Correct. Right.
And there's just one of those. And then there's one or more group coaching. And is there more like online videos or exercises or?
Yeah. What happens is there's actually, in addition to the group coaching, we also have at least one expert speaker. So we bring an expert, a former consultant, either someone who is near retirement or in retirement, or someone who is just a stellar in their field, to come in and they do a talk on a specific topic and they have an opportunity to ask them questions. So that's another thing that we do during that time. We also have contests around storyboarding. So there's a contest where they actually can win something. We give them a slide that's really bad, right? It's really done poorly. Mm-hmm. And based on everything they've learned in the 3-day intensive, their job is to redo that slide and compete for, a prize to win. But what it does is it enables us to give them more practice after they've left the intensive. And it also enables us to do more one-on-one coaching with them because it enables us to see what they're understanding on an individual level and what they've missed, what concepts they've missed. And then we come back and we kind of build on that. And then we kind of walk them through all the way to the end until they get to the last celebratory session at the end. But it's a combination of small group. We have several live facilitated sessions, and all of them are facilitated by the P31 experts across the globe. So even if the program is in the UK, we will bring in someone from Latin America who's part of our team, or bring in someone from the US who's part of the team, because we believe that we really are living in a flat world right now. And most of the consultants that we work with are working on, multi-country projects. So we want them to get exposure to people who work in other regions of the world. And we found that that's really helpful for their development and growth.
All right. These in-person sessions, how many people are typically attending them?
We limit it to 20. And we do that because we try to keep a 1-to-5 ratio. So we'll have 4 coaches in the room. 2 of them are in the role of facilitators for the entire 3 days. But we try to limit it to 20, and we do it in what we call pods. So we have 4 pods of 5, and each pod is assigned a coach. And the coach's role is to make sure that we are paying attention to their individual needs within those pods. So we can look at them as a collective and say, how are they learning together? But more importantly, the coach's job is to pay attention to each individual, because we want to make sure that they don't just do group learning, but they actually get some individual coaching and feedback while they're in that intensive. So we always limit it to 20. And we find that that is ideal for interaction, for participation, for people to feel like they're not overwhelmed. It's not too many, it's not too few. It really works well with the 20.
Can you walk me through the agenda of those 3 days? Like, what's the schedule? What topics are they working on?
We start with framing the problem, because prior to coming to the 3-day intensive, they've learned a lot about managing themselves. They learn about how to prioritize work, because we're finding that the generation that's coming through now, the more junior consultants and analysts, are really struggling with that work-life balance. And and quite frankly, they want to walk their dogs at the end of the day. They're not interested in working nights and weekends. And we're hearing from these consultancies that that's really a struggle. They're saying, when we came through this, the seniors are saying, when we came through this, we had to work nights and weekends. It was expected. The juniors are saying, well, I don't want to do that. I want to walk my dog. I want to go to the park. So what we've done is we've built in intentionally ways for them to learn how to prioritize their work. We teach them and structure it in a way they can learn how to do it. And assuming they've done that foundational piece really well about managing self and working with others, we jump right into framing the problem. We actually teach the hypothesis-based problem-solving model, which I'm sure you're familiar with. That's the foundation for it. We introduce them to other models, but we teach that as a good all-purpose model. We refer to Barbara Minto a lot in her teaching from her book. We teach them how to generate insights. So we basically break down analysis and synthesis into 2 different pieces and teach those separately so that we can make sure they've learned analysis, and then they learn how to synthesize the data. And then once we've done the synthesis of all the work, how do we communicate that to a client? What is the appropriate way? And that's where we introduce storyboarding. So we not only introduce the principles of storyboarding and why storyboarding works, and we introduce some articles that have been done, papers that have been written, it's been studied and it's worked really well. We also give them some tips on slide design. So while we don't major in designing the slide, we major on the content and the messaging and getting the key messages on those slides and having them supported by evidence. We do introduce them to, don't do this. We call it, don't do this, do that. Here's a better way. Don't create slides that look like this, create slides that look like that. And then we kind of pull them all the way through to the end, and they actually have to do a final presentation. And we do it's case-based. What we did is we developed a case that we think works across all industries. We made sure it has a little bit of science, a little bit of data science, a little bit of IT, IS. So we made sure a little bit of finance, a little bit of accounting. So it doesn't matter what type of consulting they do, there's an element of that in the case. And the purpose of the case isn't to teach them the industry. It's to give them a good basis upon which they can apply the skills and practice them. And they do a final presentation, and it's a lot of fun and it's exciting.
What's the typical kind of demographic profile of your attendees? Are these people coming like right out of college, or these people mid-career professionals, or what's the typical profile?
That's interesting. We originally had in mind it was going to people who were coming right out of school, right out of university, right out of college, coming right into their role. And they were going to be hired in by their consultancies, and the consultancies needed training for them. But what we found is very interesting. We were having a conversation with a small consultancy about bringing their team in. And one of the vice presidents said to us, our leadership team needs this. And I said, wait, time out. You own and run a consultancy, your partners here. Why would you need this? And he said, because many of us came from industry, and we are the smart ones. We are the experts. We are the marketing experts, or the, payer experts, whatever it is. He said, but no one ever taught us how to do consulting. And so we're figuring it out as we go along. And the question was, he said, can we sit through and go through the program with our team? Mm-hmm. Because we need that foundational piece of how is consulting done? Why is it that we love the consultants that come through from these other companies? They're doing something and we see it and we know we like it and we appreciate it, but we don't know exactly what it is that they're doing. Mm-hmm. And so what's interesting is we're ending up having these newbies, right? These junior people, but now he's not the only person who's expressed interest in, can you do this for us? Can you help give us the foundational skills about how to work in a consultative way, not in a transactional way, so that we are doing this consistently and so we can pull it through, so that we can help to ensure that the people that go through their training with you, we know how to coach them, we know how to train them as they go through this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you guys have like published pricing for these? Is it custom negotiated for each thing, or is it just like, yeah, we have a standard rate, here it is?
Yeah, we have standard rates generally, but what we're finding is they're not published. What we do is we are contracting, right? So we do contract with one exception, but for this program that I've been talking to you about, we're contracting with the consultancy or the organization for them to send their people through. So we definitely submit a statement of work, we get it assigned, we're in an agreement. And because of that, we've had some nuances where there's a general price, but we've had clients who've said, well, we'd like to do it this way, or we'd like to do it long term. Can we have some terms with you that extend? So it's kind of changed, it's evolving. And I'm not avoiding answering the question. It's evolving as I'm talking to you right now. However, there's one exception. We have a very unique storyboarding course I described to you for science and medical professionals who need to present to business audiences. That is publicly available, and we have a website where anyone can go to that. In fact, it is workshop.p31-academy.com, and it describes the entire program, exactly what's included. It gives the price of the program and the upcoming dates. And that program, we do both virtual and in person. So there's a virtual version that are 4 sessions, or they can come and do it in person, which is about a day and 3/4. So we do that. We offer that. The published rates for that are available on the web.
And what are the rates for that?
I believe the rate right now is $21.97 for the 2 days. And what we're doing that's unique about that is we're not teaching storyboarding in general. We're talking specifically to those science and medical audiences, because what we want to help them is avoid doing things like we've sat in on their presentations to see how they go. They come in and they say, here are the inclusion and exclusion criteria for the study. And I'm thinking, why are you telling this business audience? Why do you have a column on the left and a column on the right that's telling them the inclusion and exclusion criteria? That your business audience doesn't really care about all of that. And one of the things I've coached them on is there anything unique about the inclusion or exclusion criteria that they need to be aware of that could have a potential impact on what their decisions that they're making about marketing or commercializing this product? That's all they need to know. They don't need you to read through the list of the 10 on the left and the 10 on the right? So this course specifically addresses the very unique needs of these very smart, these are experts, scientists, and medical professionals who simply need to learn how to translate all that brilliant work they've done into meaningful messages that make sense for the business side. Because they're doing this for executive boards, the board of directors. They're doing it for commercialization teams, that are trying to make decisions. And quite frankly, we've sat in some of them to see what happens. And the people in the room are just rolling their eyes. They're like, I can't look at another slide like this. I don't want to see another slide with 10 graphs on it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And after a few years of doing this, and clients have hired us in to do it internally for them, for pharmaceutical companies and life science companies, we decided to make it publicly available. Because a few companies said, look, we don't have enough people to do a full class, but we have 3 people who really need this right now, right? So we said, okay, well, let's see what we can do to make it publicly available. And that's new, that we started offering this year. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me about who is delivering the training. Do you use subcontractors for that, or tell me a little bit about, who you have delivering the training?
Yeah, the quick answer to your sub question, yes, we do look for contractors for that. We're always looking for excellent facilitators, particularly in the UK and Europe, where we have a lot of our businesses there, and in the United States. So in the United States and UK and Europe, we're always looking for subcontractors we're looking specifically experienced consultants, people with a background in management consulting is preferred. People who have experience facilitating effective training. So we meet a lot of consultants who are just not great trainers. They don't know how to help other people learn. They're great lecturers, but that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for people who know how to stand up in front of a group and speak. We need people that know how to identify where people's learning opportunities are or needs are and can make those adjustments. So what we have is we have a core team. We have someone who leads our efforts in the UK, someone who oversees our Latin American business. I, along with Wendy Ellis Green, the other co-founder, oversee the United States, and I look out for Asia Pacific, where we've had a lot of work. And so we depend on the leaders of those areas to bring in the subcontractors and to bring in the other facilitators to deliver these courses. But we always want the people who are facilitating to have at least a resume of at least 10 years of consulting experience. Even better if they have experience training other people to do this, because we don't just focus on the skills, we focus on the business transformation. So nobody is in business just to do a good job. We're all in business to have a profitable or, have a large, decent revenue coming in for our business. So we try to make sure they understand the relationship between what they're developing and the purpose of developing those skills and how that translates into a positive business impact. How can we help you build the relationships that are going to enable you to have lifetime relationships? Every consultant wants lifetime relationships. I don't want to do one project and come back, right? Like hopefully 2 years later. We teach them and train them and coach them how to build those relationships that last a lifetime. We've been in business 20 years and our longest client is 20 years. Same first client is still one of our elephants, as people call them, right? Have a great relationship with them. And all of our clients, with very few exceptions, have been lifetime. Once we met, we engaged, we stay engaged, because that's what we think is important. Always being able to bring value on an ongoing basis. And what's interesting, Will, is we're discovering the way we bring value in 2024 is not the way we brought value 5 or 10 years ago. The business world has changed. And therefore, our training changes based upon that. So I recently had a VP of a very, very large pharmaceutical company message me on LinkedIn, and he said, I still remember all of the training I did with you and the coaching I did with you 12 years ago. Wow. And he said, and I want my people to have it. And my first reaction was, well, yay, I'm glad that you remember, and I'm glad it's still having an impact on you. But I don't think you do want your people to have what I gave you 12 years ago, because we don't live in that business world anymore. And so a big piece of what we're coaching on is you need to learn how to remain relevant as the business world changes, as industry changes. COVID changed everything, right? So the skills we needed to be effective didn't include virtual online cameras, right? It didn't. And it changed the way we interact with each other. It changed the level of energy we can bring. There's a lot more energy when we're in person than when we're virtual. It changed the way we engaged and what we say to engage. What can I do, Will, with you to keep you from looking at your notes and just look at me in the camera, right? There are things that we can learn how to do and teach and coach and train on so that they can be rock star consultants. They don't have to be average or mediocre or even good. But the people that we study, the people that we model after, are the ones who are the rock stars. And they're saying, hey, I can't be who I was 5 years ago. COVID changed everything. So now what do I need to do today to remain relevant? And what do I need to do to stay ahead of my clients? So I'm not catching up with them or walking alongside of them, but how can I stay ahead of them? So I'm always bringing more value, and a value that they hadn't anticipated. And that is a big part of the foundation of what we teach. It's not just about the skills. It's about understanding your value and how to stay ahead of your clients, because staying ahead isn't trying to be better than them. It's trying to make sure we're bringing more value. And it's a critical piece of always bringing value and never becoming irrelevant to them. I never want them to say to me, Will, we're not going to do another project because we just don't have the budget right now. We know that's always an excuse. In my experience, that's never the truth. It's a partial truth, right? It's never the truth. And when I hear that, I know I got a lot of work to do in that relationship, and to help them see they've got a budget and they think they don't have it and they don't want to invest it. My job is to help them see the value in taking whatever budget they do have and investing it in with the work I'm going to do for them, and how it's going to transform their business. It's going to give them time back. It's going to help save them money. And we have a philosophy. We want to help them spend less spend it more slowly, or make more and make it more quickly. So if we can do that with our clients, we're doing a great job. And that's what we teach and train and coach other people to keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on that so you can translate into something that's valuable to give them more time back with their families. Take some things off of their plate so they're not working nights and weekends. But when you take it off, make sure you can do it more efficiently than they could ever possibly imagine, and translate that into something wonderful for them, which it's money and time. Those are the things we value most. Most people value money and time. But the other thing we've learned recently, and especially since COVID, is attention is the new currency, right? It's very much the new currency. Yeah.
Tish, thank you for joining today and sharing a bit about your firm. Where can listeners find you online? Do you want to share a URL?
Yeah, sure. It's www.p31, the number 3, the number 1, consulting.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn. There's a lot more information in our about pages there. So you can either go to P31 Consulting LLC on LinkedIn, or you can go to P31 Academy. We have pages for both of those, especially the P31 Academy, and check out our posts. There's a lot of interesting information in there, and you'll get a sense of the way that we help consultancies, and especially the way we're helping independent consultants, because we just launched a new program that we did the first one recently in the last couple of weeks, where we're helping independent consultants, independent professionals, to scale their businesses, build their businesses, and do two things: build those lifetime relationships, and also win 100% of whatever they bid or win or propose for. And so we actually just did the first program on that, and we had someone who had a win. We were excited about that because we believe our win rate is over 90%. And it's only because we made a couple of mistakes. We believe we can be at 100%, but we're working on that. But I don't know too many companies that have over 90% win rate. And that's something we're helping independent consultants and independent small business owners, small consultancies learn how to do and do consistently. Your goal should never be to bid or propose. Your goal should be to win that opportunity, right? And work with the client. And it's part of that is a mind shift. It's a mind shift change. And that's another big piece of what we do.
Fantastic. Well, we will include those links in the show notes. Tish, thank you for joining today.
Thank you for having. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Will.